Hello. Good morning. Wow, this is an awesome turnout. I'm so privileged to be here. It's a really big honor to be invited to speak to the San Diego community. San Diego is my favorite city, and it's just really incredible to see all of the interconnectedness here. I feel like the longer I live in San Diego, the more I run into people who know someone that I had no connection to, and it's just cool how small it gets, and this is just a fun event. So I want to start by just explaining a little more about myself. I'm 28 years old. This is my beautiful wife, Megs, in the front. She's got a really cute haircut. And I'm from Ventura, California. I was one of 4 kids who were homeschooled up until high school, and so my mom was my teacher. And I was always the kid that was super bad at sitting still, and I would run outside, climb trees, and always needing to be moving and working with my hands. So thankfully, being in homeschool, I was released to do that and to be imaginative and to build Legos and draw and do all kinds of things with my hands. I fell behind in history and reading, but who cares? So after that, I joined the family business, which is a puppet company, and this is me and my dad in the garage. My dad started it over 35 years ago in his garage, and I learned a lot about what to do with my hands. I learned welding, soldering. We built animatronics. I built ostrich legs, dragon wings, bird arm illusions, magic drawing boards, and chimpanzee mouths. So just some of the things that you might build as a kid. And that was just another place that I was exploring all kinds of ideas. I was observing my dad he'd wake up at 4 a.m, draw something, and by the end of the day, it was in reality in front of him. So it was a really cool thing. In Ventura, I went to community college for 2 years. As I was moving down to San Diego to transfer to Point Loma, I grabbed my mom and told her that I wanted a bag that was unique and different. I wanted to just have something in my new life in San Diego. So I sketched this bag out, and I didn't know how to make it, didn't know how to sew. So this is the first bag I made. And I took it, me and my mom took belts from my grandpa that he gave us, and we cut them and put them on the bag. And I really wanted to design a bag that, I'll put it right here. A bag that fit exactly what I wanted to carry. I didn't like how certain bags were like big and oversized. So I had my laptop, a couple journals, my phone. There's this old school iPhone where the headphone jack used to be right here. And so, that was just my first attempt. And around campus, people saw it and were like, "Dude, where'd you get that? I've never seen a bag like that." And so I didn't know how to make bags. And so I was like, "I can make you a wallet." And so I started selling wallets, mugs, journals. I did an event with Coffee and Tea Collective, and I made these like leather mugs. I feel like there's a few people in here that still have one of those. But it was just a journey of growing my business. Eventually, I moved into a place with a garage, and I bought my first sewing machine from an old factory that closed down on the left there. That bench is free from Craigslist. And just started to hack away at it and try to figure out how to do it. Then I moved to Ocean Beach, and Andrew joined me, and we started working like 60 hours a week in there, churning out orders. We started getting picked up on some big online retailers, and we did it all in one-car garage. This is now our workshop in Moniker. We just moved a month ago, and here's another angle of it. So you can come see it. We're on 17th Street. This is our just a little look at our current line. these are my favorite products that we make. So to talk about craft, it was really fun because this is like my entire life. It's ever since I was little has been working with my hands and creating things. So just to differentiate, Made in USA is like a big stamp that we carry that flag, I guess. And to differentiate, obviously, you can have Made in USA products that aren't made by the proprietors, not made by the team, which is totally cool. But we actually make them top to bottom in our workshop. So it sounds really simple, but a lot of people don't quite wrap their head around it. If you want to come check it out, it's like truly, there's sewing machines and everything. So, and then another thing before I get started on the story is I think it's really easy to build an audience these days. A lot of people are like, give me your secrets about like how you grew your Instagram or whatever. And to be honest, there's like a lot of great Shopify blogs you can read. And I think my point is it's a lot more challenging to actually give your customer something of value and to make something that's durable, can be used and manipulated and tested. And so, and beyond that too, giving people a story and an ethos around what you do that is meaningful. And that's kind of been my journey from taking it as a hobby into a business. Oh, let me go back. So there's, in the last 6 years, there's kind of 3 lessons that if you distilled everything that I've learned, it kind of comes out into 3 points. So the first one is doing it your way. And when I was in Ocean Beach, I had a shop. My garage was like a block from the water. And I didn't have any financing. I was working at a farm and in school, and I wasn't making very much money. So for me, as I learned how to make bags, I could finance the wallet thing, but I couldn't finance the bags because it's such a big overhead cost to get batches of bags going. So I was pacing back and forth on the beach at sunset and contemplating just how am I going to do this? I have a design, there's people interested, and I didn't want to do Kickstarter. I didn't want to take on investors. I just wanted to figure out a different way of doing it, my own way. And it hit me, I'm going to do a pre-sale. So I run back to the workshop, grab my computer, open up Excel, and I go through Instagram, emails, and just accumulate all of the names and emails of people that had expressed any interest. I think I had 30 names. And there were 17 people that agreed to give me a deposit, and I took that money, went down and bought the materials, and started making them one by one. So this is a picture of the pockets for the front of the bag and then the straps. And this is me holding them at the end. So that was my first batch of bags, aside from making them custom one at a time. So this was my jump into my own way of figuring out how to pave the path through the industry. A lot of people ask me how I design, and I didn't go to design school. I didn't take pattern making. I observed my mom sewing, but I didn't really even get lessons from her. She kind of gave me tips, but I've figured it out completely on my own. Not that that's the best way to do it, but that's just how it happened. And it's been really cool getting to design these bags that are loved and known by people all over the world because they came from my mind and my heart. And I like to go in on Saturdays and just start cutting canvas and piecing things together and trying to get it from my mind out into the physical world as fast as possible. I've tried doing pattern making. I've tried doing Illustrator and CAD and stuff. And the second I start laying it down, I lose the passion for it. So that's just my approach, and it works for me. And so at this point, I'm totally okay with the process. And so that's something that the way that I do it is just my way. The industry that I'm in, it has a lot of norms and barriers, and it's actually a really challenging industry to break into if you don't have connections. And so because I didn't know that, I was able to I kind of snuck in the back door. And so yeah, that's just like one way to do it your way. The next lesson is to be a learner. In 2015, we went to our first trade show, and I was really nervous about it. I had this kind of started to get this global reach, and people knew our name, but no one had really seen us in person. And so taking the project to physical spaces was scary for me. So we got there, we set up. Here's a picture of us in Vegas. And the second I get there, I see another brand there that I've been looking up to for years and really intimidated by. And the whole time I'm like, I hope they don't come over. I hope we don't talk, because I don't want them I don't want them to know how small my operation is. And the second we get there, all these guys run over and start talking to him and start telling him our secrets, telling him how we cut things, what suppliers we use, where we get our leather. And what I realized is that actually broke down walls, and every time that's happened, the other brands have been really humbled and really honored by that. And my employees have taught me that it's okay to be open with your secrets, and it's okay to let people come in and see your operation. And it's actually given me a lot of growth, because I've been open about receiving other wisdom and concepts and other people's perspectives. So always being a learner is one of the biggest lessons I've learned. The last one is taking risks. So for me, when I was first learning how to sew, I bought a sewing machine, and I was on YouTube trying to figure it out. And there's not much, there's a lot less people that know how to work an industrial sewing machine than there are people that work home sewing machines. So I didn't really have any access to anybody in San Diego that knew how to do it. So I got my first bag order. I go down and buy materials. They gave me a deposit. I go buy the materials, and then I cut it out. I'm feeling really good. I got my sewing machine. I got my garage going. I piece it together. I'm not checking for quality along the way. I just finished the bag. And then afterwards, I hold it up and look at it, and the thread on the bottom is like looping and really long stitches. And I pull the bottom, and the bottom just comes off. And I was super discouraged. I grabbed the bag and threw it into the street. And then I stood there for a while feeling like a fool. And then I walked over, picked it up, and I threw it on the shelf. And I had this turning point that I had to decide, am I going to learn how to do this? Am I going to grind it out and figure this project out? Or do I want to give up and maybe go find people to make it for me? So obviously I went with the first one, and I drove down, bought more materials on my own dime, and finished it. And this is the bag that I made. So this is the first order that I had for bags, and so I'm really proud of that. Persevering through this particular project has been really rewarding. This bag has been reiterated into our most popular bag, which is the Biographer, and I'm giving one of those away today. Another risk that I'm really, that on risk is just taking something that you want to do. It's really risky. It's really risky to trudge your own path and to take your ideas to the world and allow them to be, people give you advice when you don't want it. And but that's part of the game. You have to, if you're going to put your art out there or your craft out there, and people are going to wear it, you have to be willing to listen to them. You have to be willing to take feedback, and it's risky to take it to market. Another big thing I've done is risking overhead of my business. As I've grown, my overhead went from nothing in my garage to having 6-7 employees and a workshop downtown in California, paying workers' comp and all this stuff. It really adds up. And sometimes I think I'm crazy, but this is a picture of me moving from Ocean Beach. This is everything that I had in the workshop, and I drove it down to Moniker, and I was the first tenant in the back side of it. And so me and Andrew moved everything in there, got set up, and we were just sitting there in this like giant empty room with one sewing machine. But me taking that risk ahead of my own growth, rather than allowing my growth to force me to move, was the best thing I ever did, because it gave me time and space to think about where I wanted to take it. And we just did that again. We moved from that space that we had outgrown into a space twice the size. And this is another angle of it, and we also opened a retail element to it. So taking another risk, opening a retail store on 17th Street doesn't make the most sense, but we're there opening our doors to the community because we want to meet people, and we want to take something that's been a global brand and allow it to be a local thing too. So that's risk. So if you put the three together, we have be yourself, do it your way, always be a learner, and take risks. So if you think of you knowing yourself as your compass, let's say you're out on a trail and you're hiking and you get lost. If you don't have your compass, you're gonna start looking around at where the sun's setting. You're gonna look at the mountains, try to find trees that you've recognized. You might end up going in circles or going way off the path and getting lost. So you're not even gonna leave for your trip without your compass. And it's crazy because a lot of us do that. And a lot of us get on journeys, and 10 years down the road, we realize that we never stop to ask ourselves what we want to do. And we never stop to ask ourselves who we are and what we really stand behind and what we value. And so please take your compass with you and do a check on that and ask yourself that hard question. The next one is learning. So you got your backpack, you're out on the trail, you got all your stuff, you feel ready, and you're hiking. Oh, wait. You're hiking along, and you see this awesome knife that somebody dropped and left behind. You got all this on your back, so you're going to have to take your bag off, which is full of all your cooking supplies, your tent, your hatchet, everything. And you go pick up the knife. You examine it, you dust it off. You might even try to use it, and you might cut yourself. But you take the moment to learn it, and you look at it, and it's not until you appreciate it that you can adopt it into your bag, and then you carry on. And this concept is, I'm just going to wear this. The concept of learning to me is like that. You have to be able to set down the experiences that you've had, the pride that you have in all the statuses, all the sales, the business, the position that you are. You need to set that down to learn anything. To be able to learn from others it's completely necessary to go forward, but you can't do it unless you're able to be humble. And so humility has been one of the biggest things that I've had to learn over the years. Oh yeah, and then risk is basically you get down the trail, you find a spot. Let's say you got this like big rock behind you, so you know the mountain lions aren't going to get you, and you build your fire, you set up your tent, and you stay the night. In the morning, you have the option of staying there or going home. But you also have the option of packing everything up and going around the bend to find a new spot. And that's all risk is. Risk is allowing yourself to be in new territory. Risk is saying yes to the future and allowing your life to, you're laying everything on the line to get somewhere new. And we're never gonna move forward without people that take risks. The world's desperate for people to do this stuff. It's desperate for people to be individual and not worry about how the world looks around them, or not worried about the way that people expect them to be. And I'm really thankful for my journey because obviously with a lot of struggles along the way, I've been able to kind of make a life for myself, a lifestyle for myself, that every day we just hang out and make bags and get to talk to people, and that's where I want to be, and that's what I want to do. So basically my message to everyone is you can do that too, in any way that you imagine it. And to be honest, like, San Diego's not going to go very far without you. So that's all I have.